let's go to church. Your famous cookies. Okay, how do we get this thing going?
Within and timeless, not a foot in the grave. Our breath is still enough, so we'd like to say, if you come for espresso with doubts or in search, don't care how you get it, just come back to church. Looking at you, holding at you, come on, join us for the ceremony. Christmas and Easter don't come every week. We're here to show you that there's much more to see.
Every now and then, in the middle zone, in the 13 on the right side of the second row, so you were just watching the vision blue. I've got something to tell you. I can't take it. What are you waiting for? Till I've been crazy. The way you did before, if you can't take it, I'll meet you at the door. He sees you when he wants you. God is waiting for you. It's a rule, just come
And I know we're right, but I know how to ride. And you can still church. We have you in the center. We can come close and sip some gasoline. Even just you and me. Second service inside. Come on, yeah, that's right.
That's groovy. I like it.
So thank you.
Yeah, that was groovy.
So did that make you want to just kind of stand up and dance just a little bit? So we've been talking about this Sunday for a long time now, and it's coming. It's next week. Turn to a neighbor and say, it's next week. It's next week.
Yeah, I know.
You and I need to know that, right? So we're going to do something, and I have to tell you, I'm going to do something I've never done in church before, but at Bible study we decided we should. And if we decide to do something at Bible study, and Brad's up there going, what in the world did we say?
What's it, Kelly? I'm sure
No,
Kelly-
it's this. Some of you have noticed that every week there's a stand up here with usually my iPad, and sometimes when everything doesn't work right, it's my iPhone because, dead batteries just don't work very well. But we've been shooting the video of the sermon live every week for about 2 months now.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that when I first thought I would do this, I thought, yeah, I'll get 2 or 3 people that are probably related to me to watch it.
I saw one.
And then I started paying attention to what was going across the screen. So we did it last week. And as of Bible study night, we'd had 192 people watch the sermon. Now, I can tell you, and I'm going to tell you, you're going to get more excited about this.
They're coming.
I'm hoping they're coming. I'm really hoping my friends Tom and Janine from Colorado are coming, because they really want to move to Oregon anyway. And don't you think they ought to move to Junction City?
Yes. Amen.
So Tom and Janine, if you're listening,
Harrisburg,
and
that's
I can't tell because the print's too little, but we decided we ought to do one other thing. So folks, if you're watching on the live feed, we're really glad and we're excited about that. And we want you to know that if you have something you would like us to pray for as a church, as a congregation, if you would just type it in the comment section, we would make sure that that happened. Because we want you to know we appreciate you, and we want you to know that because Jesus loves you, we love you, and want to lift you up in prayer.
Amen.
Thank you. So, let's talk about Zacchaeus and back to church Sunday. How many of you know the story of Zacchaeus? You knew the song. You wanted to sing along, but you were afraid. Well, maybe you weren't afraid. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, is something we learned in kindergarten or preschool at church. But, you know, this is really an important story for us in the church, and it's an important story for us to be thinking about as we look at next week and back to church Sunday. You see, back to church Sunday is, somebody described it as the get out of jail church card for free. You know, because, you know, when people leave the church, there are 2 or 3 things that happen, and one of them is that they get out of the habit. I don't know, have you ever gotten out of the habit of doing something, and then you go, gosh, I really should do that again? And then it's really hard to do it. Well, church is one of those things. For most of us, going to church is a habit. We wake up on Sunday morning and we go, gee, it's Sunday morning. We should go to church. And so we do our best. We put our Sunday duds on and we go to church. And sometimes we go, yep, got that done. Check, mark that off the list. And then we stop coming. And maybe we stop coming the first time because we're sick. And so, you know, and the second Sunday, we're just not quite feeling perfect yet. And so we say, well, one more week won't hurt. And then your children come to town the third week. And then something else gets in the way. And all of a sudden, it's been 3 months since you've been to church. And then you think, I can't go back there. They're going to want to know where I've been. And that conversation goes like this. I know because I watched it happen in my very first church on the second Sunday. This really wonderful woman named Betty Stewart. She's still the greeter at First Christian Church in Edinburgh. But she sits at the door and doesn't wait, and she lets people come to her now. But she saw somebody come in and she ran up to him and said, Robert, it's so good to see you. Where in the world have you been? And Robert's face goes, oh. Oh. Darn, I was going to sneak in. I was going to ease my way back into the back pew so nobody really noticed, but maybe they would think I've been there all along. So we do that. Back to church Sunday is the get out of jail. Next Sunday, when people come who haven't been here, don't run up to them and say, where have you been? Repeat after me. I am glad
To see you.
to see you.
To see you.
That's all you need to say. If you think you have to say something else, get it approved by me first.
How about welcome?
Yeah, welcome is good. We're glad to see you. Smile. You know, I always wondered about special days like this because, you know, I used to think that, you know, if people really wanted to be in church, they'd be here, right? Isn't that true? No, it's not true. It hasn't been true in 50 years. But we think it is. We think that because our building is here on this beautiful 1250 Nyssa Avenue with this park and all the beauty around it, that if people really wanted to come and worship here, they know where we are. They don't. If you don't believe me, come and spend an hour with Cliff and I at McDonald's. Or you can go to McDonald's when Cliff isn't there. It doesn't really matter. You can go when George goes. But you have to get up earlier, right, George? None of this 9 o'clock in the morning stuff for George. He's there when they open. He's there at 7. Coffee's better when it's fresh, isn't it, George? And ask the people that come in. Because here's one of the real truths of life. The people that visit our McDonald's between 7 and 10 in the morning live here. Walt's going, no, couldn't be.
I see George there every morning almost, but I don't live here.
Well, you live close enough to be here. There is one troublemaker in this group every week. And sometimes there's one on both sides of the aisle. You know, come and spend some time with me asking questions like, hey, how are you today? Can I ask where you're from? People love to talk about themselves. It's their favorite subject. It is. Unless they don't like themselves, and then they want to talk about who they want to be. But we have this issue. If you go in and you say, so, you know, where are you from? Are you from Junction City or the area? Well, yes. So then you have to be brave enough to cross that one threshold that, you know, you were told not to ever cross. You have to say, so I'm doing a survey.
Oh, not the survey.
But it only has one question. And if you promise only to ask one question, they usually let you ask. You can say, do you know where First Christian Church of Junction City is? My best answer from somebody 3 weeks ago was, well. And you could see the smile come across her face. She said, it's in Junction City. Right? I said, well, you're closer than anybody else today. You see, here's what I can tell you. People don't know where we're at. We were handing out flyers for the concert to people who live on roads that empty out in our parking lot. Maple Street. And honest to God, somebody said, where is that? I said, right down there. Oh, where I go slide on the slide and play with my kids. You see, they knew there's a church here. They knew that something happened here. They knew there was Children's Corner here. You see, here's a clue. When Children's Corner is better known for being here than First Christian Church, we've got it upside down. Now, I love that the people know where Children's Corner is. Do. But we need to understand that this isn't the world of 50 and 60 years ago. This isn't the church world that most of you in this room grew up in. This isn't the church room where everybody knows where every church is. Now, I know some of you know where every church in town is. I'm learning. But what I'm really finding out is that First Christian Church is the church that ought to have a baseball/softball concession stand out here on the corner in the spring and summer and fall. We could sell hot dogs for $1 and give them Jesus for free. You all think I'm kidding.
It makes sense.
We know you better than that.
What's that?
We know you better than that.
You know me better than that. That's right. And hot dogs are easy. We bought a grill just for that. We have to get our $70 worth out of it.
I did that the first day.
We did, didn't we? You see? So why does this matter in the story of Zacchaeus? Well, Zacchaeus, described as a wee little man, and this was one of those passages. It was in my first Greek class. I had to translate this passage. And I have to tell you, I was not a good Greek student. I passed because George Shoemaker took pity on me. I was, after all, planning a wedding and all kinds of things happening, and my world was changing, and I was trying to take Greek, and I'd never taken Spanish or German or anything else in school. And you know that old saying, it's all Greek to me? It really was. But I passed. Barely. But now I know about computers.
They have Greek words, right?
They have Greek. I could look up every verse in Greek. And I was right. I have to tell you that I translated this passage correctly that week. Because you see, there's all kinds of weird and wonderful things in this story. We all see it this way because we sang it. Zacchaeus was a wee little man. But actually, in the Greek, the way it's written, we are not completely sure if it was Zacchaeus that was the wee little man or if it was Jesus. Now, see, we all have this Hollywood image of Jesus. He's 6'4", has really nice, beautiful hair, has a beard that's well cropped and perfectly trimmed. Right? We do think of Jesus. Or we think about Jesus, you know, with that lamb around his neck, holding a baby. Have any of you ever held a lamb around your neck? It's your favorite thing to do, isn't it? They don't just lay there. In fact, in order to get them to lay there, you have to take your two hands. Everybody take your two hands like this. Go like this. And you have to, in your left hand, well, your left, my right, hold their back feet. And with your other hand, you have to hold the front feet. Do you know why?
They'll kick you in the head.
Because if you don't, they're going to kick the living daylights out of you. Because they don't want to be there. You all didn't know you were going to get a lesson in Greek and in raising sheep. Things to do and not do. But Zacchaeus, this wee little man. Now some scholars say this wasn't just about his stature, it was about his persona. Because after all, he was a crook.
He was a tax.
He was an IRS agent. And you know every IRS agent in the world's a crook, right? Especially the ones that collect the money. We don't know that. But we do know that in Jesus' day, being a tax collector meant you were not friends with your neighbors. Because you were given quite a lot of latitude in collecting your taxes. Because Rome told you how much money your area had to collect. They didn't care if you collected more. You see, you buy something on television, you can get two for the same dollar, $9.95, except you have to pay shipping and handling on both. Now think about that for a minute. The shipping and handling is almost always more than the price of the item. Well, Zacchaeus could be charging you a 10% or a 20% or a 30% upcharge on your taxes, just for the honor of paying your taxes. See, you thought IRS was bad. In Jesus' day, the tax collector could collect whatever he could get out of you. As long as he kept Rome happy, as long as he kept Herod happy, it was perfectly okay. So Zacchaeus was seen as, Luke writes, as a sinner. Any of you know any sinners? Don't look at the people sitting next to you. They'll think you're accusing them. You see, it's one of these interesting things that Zacchaeus is described as a sinner by a group of people that were sinners, because sinning is something
We all do.
we all do. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. No, sinning is something somebody else does. No. We all know that's wrong. We all know that we've all sinned and fell short of the glory of God. Some of you probably sinned on your way to church when that car cut you off. I'm sorry. Sorry I was driving so fast. You see, so here's this guy named Zacchaeus. And he's heard about Jesus, and you've all heard about Jesus, right? Jesus is a great guy. He's a healer and hope bringer, and he, by this time in the Gospel of Luke, he's actually brought people back from the dead. And gosh, he gets into fights with the Pharisees and Sadducees and the scholars of his day, and he always wins. Gosh, I want to meet him too. So Zacchaeus goes to where he knows the parade's going to be. That's one of the things that's really important. If you want to go to the celebration, you've got to know where the parade is. If you want to know or meet Jesus, sometimes you got to know where the church is. And that means we got to tell them. Yeah, I know. All the people you love go to church. And all the people you love know where you go to church. It's a lie. If you believe in the devil, you could even say that's a lie of the devil. Because do you think Satan wants anybody to find us?
No.
Do you think Satan wants anybody to meet Jesus? No, it doesn't work that way. He's on the other side. He's the bad guy. He's going to do everything he can to make it hard for people to find us and get to us and be a part of us. Which is why it's really important for those of us inside to be ready to do things outside. See, the story, Jesus comes to Zacchaeus and says, Zacchaeus, gosh, you're up in a tree. Don't you think he asked that question? Why are you in the tree, Zacchaeus? You need to come down because I'm planning on coming to your house for dinner. I think Zacchaeus' wife is at the bottom of the tree. Are you kidding? Yeah. Jesus says, yeah, I'm coming. So you better get down here because I'm going to be at your house for dinner later. And of course, the fact that Jesus was going to Zacchaeus' house caused there to be dinner conversation at other dinner tables. Did you see that, Jesus? He went to Zacchaeus' house. He's hanging out with sinners. Again.
That's what he does.
That's what he does. That's right. Every time you turn around, Jesus is hanging out with a sinner. The woman caught in adultery. Couldn't throw the first stone even though he was qualified. Did you ever think about that? Jesus says, those of you who have never sinned can throw the first stone. And I'm thinking, Jesus, you got a rock in your hand?
He'll hand it to somebody who can throw it.
He's hanging out with sinners. Ever think about those 12 guys he called disciples? They were always good guys. They always did the right thing. They always went to the right place and said the right things, right? No. They were not who we would have chosen. We would have found some with some education. We would have found a few with some cash. We would have found some with a plan. Not Jesus. He finds sinners. Now, some of you are smiling because you're getting it. Because you see, if Jesus can find a sinner, maybe, just maybe, he can find me. Oh. See? Works pretty well, doesn't it? If Jesus can hang out with a sinner, maybe Jesus could hang out with me. In fact, that's one of the great parts of this story. When Jesus says, Zacchaeus, I'm coming to your house, Jesus is saying, I want to come and hang out with you. With you, and with you, and with you, and with you. And that's good news. You see, so the message of Zacchaeus for us is that Jesus loves us enough to hang out with us, and he wants to hang out with more of us. Did y'all hear the last line? Jesus wants to save the lost, the sinner. the empty, the broken, the hurting. You see, Back to Church Sunday is about bringing people that are members of the church back. I've got the elders working on that. They're doing a great job. I'm getting reports all the time that there's phone calls being made. But who do you know that their life is crumbling? Who do you know that it's a single parent trying to get by? Who do you know that doesn't eat enough? Who do we know that has all the stuff but has no meaning in their life? You see, the Great Commission says that we are called to go out and make disciples of all nations, all people, all of our neighbors, even the ones playing baseball out here, the ones that we meet at Dairy Mart. Those who have just lost a loved one. My friends, this day is about us being who God has called us to be. And reaching out with a hand that says, come be with me. Because I know where Jesus is. Or come be with me. Because you need to be loved by some folks I know. Zacchaeus came down from the tree that day. A changed man. Who do you know that might want to be changed?